Okay.
Take her away.
Yeah. So this is one of our student stores in my little coaching group. I'm running some of the scaling strategies with her. She's a phenomenal businesswoman. In her own words, she's a bit of an introvert. So I invited her to come on today, but she'd rather keep sitting at home and cranking out and making a ton of money. And she's a very, very impressive businesswoman with this business and a couple others. And I'm having a great time working with her. And yesterday hit another sales number. It'd be cool if we could do $1 million Q4 here. She's done millions in e-commerce in general, but I checked that out. Like a little cheerleading for ShineOn, $800,000 in sales and a return of $2,300. Like, look at the returns on that. It's like nothing.
Oh yeah, nothing.
You know? I was pointing that out to because I used to coach almost exclusively drop shipping for years, right? So I was pointing that out to some of my students that I wish had made the change over this year when I went almost exclusively to ShineOn, right? And I'm like, look at that. Like there's only like 8 chargebacks or something. Like it's compared to drop shipping, like it just eliminates such a big pain, traditional drop shipping.
That's literally, I just did the math on it. That's 30 returns out of 10,500 orders.
Yeah. And there'll be more like at the cutoff or something, right? Especially as aggressive as if we can get even more aggressive, but
it's a 0.002% return rate.
Yeah, it's
less than 1%.
Yeah, I'll be a cheerleader for a minute. It's a really cool business you guys have made. Very impressive, and happy to be in it, man. But yeah, so this is you mentioned before that I'm a big proponent of Tim Bird. His community is called AdLeaks. I highly recommend people check it out. I'm not pushing it from an affiliate link or anything right now, but I do have one. But it's a small investment. His skills are he's the godfather of Facebook ads, right? And one of my group members, Gary, him and I went to his mastermind recently. He's in a mastermind with Eric, the owner of ShineOn, and he's just always got some tips and tricks that that work for me, right? And that's the key. Like, if you're going to do mentorship courses, both, you have to connect with the person that's teaching you that information, right? It has to be good information and current information. There's a lot of that out there, but if you really connect with the way that somebody thinks, it can be a total game changer, right?
Totally.
Whether you're working with me, whether you're working with Kirsta, whether you're working, with another mentor. Yeah, it's hugely important. But yeah, we came back from that with just ready to floor it. We came back from that mastermind like a month ago, and you can see the results in this store. Just we'll see how far I can push this one up. Yeah.
Yeah, some people just say things in a way that just clicks, and it kind of unlocks something
right
like in your brain when you hear it. And also you got like most people don't realize too that especially as you get into, look, you're established e-commerce people, right? The guys that kind of have learned the ropes already. They've got the fundamentals down, and they've got at least enough success to keep sales rolling in, right? Mm-hmm. When those people go on to buy coaching, they literally are paying $10,000 a month or for a coaching program or for a course for one golden nugget. I mean, like that's literally all they're looking for to justify the spend, because one golden nugget can take your entire business to the next level, because it unlocks a limiting mindset that you had, or it shows a way that you could do something differently, or you get some new ad method that allows you to break through the iOS 14 ceiling or whatever it is.
Millions and millions in spend post iOS. So now there's the real data. Okay, this is what's working right now. And then you're like, sweet, floor it, and you feel confident, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. But it's key also that you don't get shiny out. As good as that information is, it's key that you don't put too much time into that when you're not at that stage, right? If you're in the testing stage, developing stage, that kind of stuff, you just have to know that, yes, that's all out there. It's available to you, but don't feel like you have to learn everything. And I ran into this trap, especially after I did like my first $1 million in drop shipping. I felt like I had to know everything. And I said yes to everything that came in for opportunities, and don't do that. Like, realize where you're at in your journey and get that lock solid, and then know that there's the knowledge you need to take it to the next level is available out there. Yeah.
Most people listening to this probably still need to be working on fundamentals, right?
Even people that are, scaling for their next one. Sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Do you want me to go to the next slide?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Some more graphics here. Just looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 other students that are putting up some nice numbers. The one on the left's interesting because you can see we don't run traffic every single day on that one. So that's a tip. So if you can optimize for a particular niche or what's working for you, and set up some rules where there's certain days that just always take your money away. When you have that data point, then you can maximize your profitable days. And it's actually a very saturated product too, but it's been able to make money since the summer, right? Yeah. The other one at the bottom there, which has that nice spike day. It's an example of somebody just getting their winner just sort of like at the the last minute, hitting their first winner. And this sort of stress tested his whole website and everything he's doing, right? And so the next time he hits a winner, he's gonna be able to just maximize returns because the site's just gonna have all the holes that were shown from this quick scale, and the speed of everything and running ads. That's invaluable information. So this is really nice. So he's gonna be able to absolutely crush his next one.
Can I ask, was this all the same product here?
Yeah, and that one had done hundreds of thousands over the summer too. So it's just really saturated product, but it was able to just bring in money on certain days consistently since the summer. And then I was able to bring it up and scale a bit. And then we'll see if we can push it back above 10 grand days right now or not. But there's certainly a variation of that. This client is working very, very part-time, by the way. So with enough bandwidth of not having, a very successful career and a lot of family obligations. I mean, you put a 0 on that because he would have found different variations, optimized the funnel, and we could have, scaled it to the moon. So, but he's making very nice additional money while he's learning, and he's got this skill set to fall back on too.
What I really love about this chart anyway is it shows that you're not really out of the fight. And I know that this individual, at least with this product, did a bunch over the summer too, right? Yep. But this chart here can really apply to almost any product. I mean, if you get started testing early enough before a holiday and you're getting traction, there's a good chance if you hang in there and you keep taking cracks at it, you keep testing the creatives, you get that pixel more optimized, you're doing changes to your website, trying to increase conversion rate. The closer you get to the holiday and the more buyers that become activated in the marketplace, I mean, you can really start to send it. And I just really like to see how you had 3, 4, 5 solid weeks here where it was almost like you kept hitting a ceiling, right? And then boom, something changed here. Could have been buyers coming online in the marketplace, could have been a change to a creative.
It was really optimization within the ad set. Also, yes, that this particular evergreen niche are more later in the buyer season than some of the other niches too. So a combination of factors.
But the fact that you just hung it, you knew this obviously, but for the new folks on the call, you just you stayed with it. You know what I mean? I assume that a lot of these were probably break-even days, maybe not very profitable. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Pretty much profitable, just not anything to blow your socks off profitable, but it all adds up. I mean, the key is, and on your losing days, keep your losses very small, and
you're locking those profits.
Winners consistent, and stack cash on your home run days, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. I know. Cool, man. All right, we'll go to the next one.
Sounds good. Yeah,
all
sure.
Right.
Okay. Just some scaling prep stuff that came to mind today. So, over the years of coaching, POD and drop shipping, one of the most annoying things is somebody works their butt off and gets a winner, and it's Q4, and right when they see out of 100 grand or 200 grand or something, all of a sudden Facebook disables you and says, we need you to verify your business. Right? So it doesn't happen to everybody. And I notice, especially with people with older ad accounts, they don't run into problems this particular prompt, right? But especially with newer ad accounts, out of working with hundreds and hundreds of people over the last 4 or 5 years, it's happened too often. And it's especially, it'll happen at the worst possible times. It'll happen in Q4. And they'll make you submit your documents over and over and over again. And it'll take 2 weeks. And it's just you just missed out on hundreds of thousands in sales that you'd worked your butt off to get to that point, right? So verifying a business manager preemptively, especially with newer ad accounts, is really important. Okay, so you don't run into that once you are going to scale. Okay, and a lot of this next stuff is, you can scale and then sort of realize where the holes in your game are, because once you start to be at a different level of sales daily, you'll start to see you'll have a bigger data set, so you'll be able to see where your holes are, right? So assuming you're running your own site, you want to speed test, especially the homepage, and even more importantly, the product page. So you might have like a big video file or something that's slowing that page down and making that page load twice as slow, and that could literally have your winning conversion rate below a 2% instead of being at a 2.5%. So like you could be leaving most of your profit on the table with something as simple as a video that loads slow, and now people are bouncing from your product page at a higher rate, right? Okay.
I want to add real quick. So I have a buddy named Robert Norbich Hayek, and he goes pretty crazy with conversion rate optimization on his site, but he runs volume all year long, and he knows if he can get even 0.25% of conversion rate gain out of a tweak, it makes a ton of difference to his bottom line. I mean, a massive amount of difference. So especially when you're at scale, this stuff is super important to pay attention to.
Yeah. And I know Kirsten does a lot of CRO as well. And, in my group, we're planning on doing a ton next year. It's a huge piece, right? Yeah.
100%, man.
Mm-hmm. So, when you got your winner, or you're doing a couple grand a day, it's like small profit, break even, what have you, and you're really ready to start getting aggressive, right? You want to test as many creatives as possible. So, on a previous Coffee with Michael, I had that little infographic of sort of like the creative sandbox idea. So test a lot of UGC, test a lot of different angles of the photo, test some videos. Sometimes those work. It's usually pictures. Test different overlays. Test different pictures that you take yourself, some professional looking, some blurry. Test different primary Facebook text as well. Sometimes by putting up like a piece of the quote in the Facebook primary text, then it'll help that product convert at a significantly higher level. Sometimes it doesn't work, right? So, but you want to test a whole bunch of different creatives so that when you get to breaking through your first kind of glass ceilings and scaling of $1,000 a day or $2,000 a day, something that can really help you break through those ceilings is just the power of the creative, right?
100%. I actually, when it comes to actually testing the ad itself, if you take a brand for instance, we're in the print on demand space. So you always have the luxury of like, you try this product, then you try that product, then you try this quote and this quote and this quote. And you can literally do that, all year long. And, you may only find 4 or 5 winners, but you might, that's a lot of money in our space, right? If you find
one winner is a job quitter,
100%.
Yeah.
But if you take a brand, like some company that all they sell is freaking supplements or something like that, they do not have the luxury of trying this product. They don't have that luxury, right? What they have to do is test at the creative level. And a lot of agencies, I know a lot of agency owners, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you have this one product you're trying to sell. Now let's find the winning creative. So it's a mindset difference. We are looking for the winning product. They're looking for the winning creative. What we need to do is stack those, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you find your winning product first, then you find your winning creative on top of it. And it's like jet fuel on the fire.
You don't want to waste too much time making your own creatives for too many of your products that you're testing that just don't have any money behind them, right? It's just not a money-making activity, right? You want to be testing more products, and then you want to be testing more creatives, right?
Yeah, 100%. So just to summarize that, and I'll shut up so you can move on here, Mario. You're saying like, just, throw your best ad into the marketplace on the phrase or the product that you're testing. See if you get any traction. If you don't, throw it away. Don't sit there and try 5 or 10 different creatives on top of it, because it's a lot of time, energy, and effort, and potentially money, depending on how you do it. You don't need to spend on it. Again, it comes back to every campaign is built on top of a winning product. If you don't have a winning product, everything else is just putting lipstick on a pig. So find the winning product first, then go on to try to find a winning creative for it. Anyway.
100%. And, time is money too, because if you have a mediocre product and you make a great creative of it, guess what? You'll probably break even or make a couple bucks. But if you put the time into testing more products, and then all that effort into the creative, then you made some life-changing money, right? And that's a trap I've been in before, an ego trap, right? After you have your first winners, you feel in drop shipping, I'm like, I can make anything work, right? And then I'm like 2 months later, I put all this time into a product, and I was like, yay, I made a couple $1,000s. Like, why did I put so much time and effort into this thing instead of just finding something that would scale easier, right?
Totally, man. Yeah. I totally know what you're talking about.
Learn from my mistakes, guys. Like, the lipstick on a pig. Don't do that. Like, get the one that's like your outlier, and then put your effort into that one, because it's going to go for you, right?
Yep. Find your whale.
Scaling prep. This next one, the post-purchase upsell. As you get to higher and higher scale, the data will be more obvious. When you're doing hundreds of sales. When you're doing thousands of sales and you're getting hundreds of sales post-purchase, your data will be a lot cleaner. But you really want to get your AOV up by getting something post-purchase sort of in this range. This is the range we've seen across our 6 and 7 figure projects this year. Is if you can get something in the 10 to 30% take rate, get your AOV up another $10 or $5 even, depending on the niche, it's going to make a huge difference in your ability to scale.
Yep, I agree 100%. As soon as we find a winner, we immediately jump to this.
Yep.
We're like, how can we get those AOVs as high as we possibly freaking can now?
Cool. Make sure you got enough credit. Get ready. It doesn't take a ton of credit. I mean, I did in drop shipping. I did my first $1.5 million on a $20,000 credit card, but we were constantly calling the credit card company and asking for, hey, can we get an extra 48-hour increase of 30,000 over the weekend or something like that, right? And especially, if you scale very quickly, you might get a hold from Shopify payments or from PayPal. And if you have the credit to get through that while you're negotiating that hold down, it can go a lot smoother for you. These situations go a lot smoother with ShineOn, with having a production partner like ShineOn versus, the drop shipping world. But you can still run into these problems, especially the first time you scale. With your payment providers, and having enough credit will help you weather that storm and still be able to capitalize on your first whale, right?
Yeah, this happens to everybody. I mean, I remember the first time it happened to me, I felt like I was juggling so much. PayPal was frozen. I'm calling the credit card company trying to get an extended line of credit. I'm like, you get really creative,
yeah,
because you're like, you understand the opportunity you're missing out on. So. Yeah. You find a way, but yeah, it's
and I've had younger members of my group partner with more established business people in the past too, to scale a product together, right? You don't have to you can scale a product together. You can set up a very specific term of and the profit share and all that, and if you're surrounded by people that you can trust, that can work out very well. I've been burned by that before too. But as Michael said, you get creative to make it happen, to make the most money out of the winner.
You will find a way. If you're missing money, and you know it, you'll find a way.
Yeah,
you will find a way.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Make sure you have enough credit. Okay, so this one's just like, okay. So ideally, you're gonna have 2 credit cards that are just dedicated to this project. If you're doing multiple projects, maybe you're doing some drop shipping, maybe you're doing some POD somewhere else, and for whatever reason, if the card has a failed payment on that one, kind of carries over to your ad account health on, your ShineOn scaling product. Sometimes I've seen, if you're using the same credit card amongst multiple products, multiple stores, it's sort of, when you get towards any of your billing thresholds, it'll sort of slow down the traffic, because Facebook's like making sure that those credit card payments go through. And what if it's like the busiest time of day where you're just printing money, then it can they kind of put a governor on your spend, right?
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it when I ran the same credit card onto.
So you're saying when you're using one credit card amongst multiple ad accounts?
Yeah, multiple ad accounts, multiple websites. It really happened to me the most with multiple websites on the same credit card. I saw the trends in the spend, and I don't know if it's the case right now, because I run it separate now. Right. But it definitely, in my first year or two of scaling things up, it definitely slowed things down.
Interesting.
Yeah. I saw the patterns just consistently. And so I'd go in and I hit pay now on both accounts, and then more traffic would flood in.
Honestly, it's probably better to, it's unrealistic, but as much as you can, it's probably good to try to get to one credit card per ad account, because if Facebook, takes down your ad account, they might slap your credit card while they're at it. And if you've got 2 or 3 businesses or e-commerce stores all kind of powered by the one credit card, it just there's a domino effect. Everything gets hit and you get shut down overnight. So
and you can go a little even deeper on that and have 2 different credit cards. This is something that Tim actually brought up in the last mastermind. So if you have an Amex and a MasterCard as your backup or something, if Amex is having a problem day in general with Facebook, then at least you don't have like 2 Amex cards, right? So this is this is an uncommon situation, but all it kind of has to happen is once, and if it's somebody that comes from the agency world and they've got multiple 7-figure clients or something, if Amex and Facebook aren't getting along one day and they're all just using Amex, that's a bad day all around, right? So that's just a little extra tip, a little extra layer of protection there.
And make sure you have a backup payment method on the ad account.
That's what I'm saying. And have that as a different credit card.
Mainly to protect your reputation with Facebook. Because if you have something that bounces, they don't forget it.
Nope. And even to the point of, when you're first scaling, that money means so much to you. And that credit card doesn't have a history of like doing a bunch of ad spend. You want it, and let's say you're at a $900 threshold or something. You want to like get on the phone with your credit card company and say, hey, I'm about to put an $880 payment through. Please pre-approve it and hit that. Right.
Yeah, totally, man.
Depends on how if everything's going smooth for you, you don't really have to do that. But especially if you just see like one payment get rejected by your Bank of America or whatever you're using, like don't let that become a trend, because it can be very problematic for you. Okay. That covers that bullet point, I believe. Oh, and just since this is the scaling prep, you want to get your threshold that you can spend, your daily threshold, raised as quickly as possible. Matt Bay, who's scaling tremendously, he was held back by a few days because he kept hitting his daily spend and leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table, right? Because the threshold's there. So everybody runs into that, but you want to get on that as soon as possible. And the newer ad account, they might not raise it for you the first time you ask. They may not give you the threshold the daily spend threshold you want, but you need to stay on chat with them to get that. And that's actually, the chat feature is like kind of hit or miss, but consistently the chat feature has always been the go-to place to get daily thresholds raised in my career.
Yeah, me too. Every time I've needed it, it's where I go to.
Okay. Customer service. So obviously if you're going from doing a couple $100 a day to doing $5,000 or $10,000 a day, more issues come up. So you're going to be getting more tickets than you're used to, which can be a bit of a shock, but you got to like look at the forest for the trees, and you got to be like, oh my God, I've got 10 support tickets or something. Well, yeah, but you didn't have support because it's relative, right? You used to get 1, but now you're at 10,000 a day. But if you get to the point where you're massively scaling, or if you're like me, you just hate doing customer service. I haven't done customer service in like 5 years, probably 6 years. I haven't done a single ticket. I hate that part, right? So you really want to have just sort of like a list of polite and canned responses for your customer service agent. You can hire a VA in the Philippines. It's got, that has Shopify experience. There's a lot of good people out there on Upwork, or a friend or family member or somebody, but you really want to have somebody for a few hours a day, at least, just to take that off your plate. And you want to
I totally agree with you. I made a video probably a year ago called, I think it was like how to get to 92K a day. Mm-hmm. And in it, I actually walk out what I did, because you're totally right that, and you're totally right that like, you're when you catch a winner, if you haven't caught one yet and you catch one, you're probably not going to be prepared. But you're going to need to be ready to move fast, though, to get prepared. Mm-hmm. And one of the areas that you're not going to think about, because your mind is going to be on the money, right? It's going to be on like making sure your credit cards don't get down, and PayPal's got the documentation they need to unlock your funds, and like your test and create. That's where your mind's going to be. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, your whatever you're using for customer service is going to start to get backed up. And e-commerce customers in particular, will email you a lot. It's just nature of the beast. They want tracking information. They want an invoice, a shipping address needs updated, whatever it is. They will email a lot. And having good systems and processes in place so that you can handle all of that kind of as automated as possible is super important. Anyway, go watch my video, how to get to 92K a day, because I have like a whole system in there for how I did it by myself. I had a VA actually at the time. And I can't remember how many orders I did in a very short amount of time. And we were able to handle it almost flawlessly. So go check that out. But Mario, I'm really glad that you didn't just come on here. We're going to get to the good stuff next, but we didn't just come on here and talk about methods, ad methods, and crap like that. You actually talked about prep, because I think a lot of people skip this, but it really is essential if you want to be able to scale successfully. Like, there is a foundation that's got to be laid in order to support volume. So I'm actually really happy that you came in here and focused on this. I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with that, like you said, as soon as they start to scale or do significant spend, boom, the business manager goes down. In fact, ShineOn's BM got hit like a little over a month ago because we started scaling, right?
Sure. Yep.
It literally happens to everybody. And being prepared, knowing it can happen, knowing what you're going to do if it happens, it's just super important, because time is of the essence when you're scaling. So.
Yep. To that point, go ahead and make yourself a backup BM, and don't even put any ad accounts in it. Just go to business.facebook.com/create and go ahead and if you haven't done so, make yourself a backup business manager, because there's all sorts of different levels of disablements you're going to get as you scale. I mean, some people have a really smooth time. A lot of people don't, because it's Facebook, and you just have to be prepared for the bumps. But having a backup business manager before the potential of your one business manager being disabled, you have a whole other asset just waiting, right? So it's a good thing to have. You don't want to run it to the same store as the disabled ad account, but you have a backup business manager. You can do another store, you can do another project, and then, with a different credit card, different ad account, different Facebook page, and, start to be horizontally diversified while maybe there's a bump in the road of the one you're scaling. And you're all geared up. You're in this game. You're in it to win it. Like, you got your first winner, and Facebook puts a couple roadblocks, and then now you have at least one horizontal backup business manager to keep going, right?
Yeah, it's all about redundancy. Like, if you don't have redundancy, your business is fragile. You know what I mean? Like, Facebook can do it, PayPal, credit card companies, anything could happen. And if you have no redundancy, it could take your entire business out. So it's just all about thinking through that and trying to get your systems and your infrastructure in place to be able to withstand the storm that is going to come, right?
Right. At least some of this stuff's going to happen, right? That we're talking
100%.
about.
You might as well put a number next to these and give people some die and just let them roll the dice, because that's about what it's going to be. They're going to get hit with something on this list.
Yeah, it's going to be a whack-a-mole as you scale.
For sure.
For sure.
All right. Let's keep going, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, scaling tips. So, hey, before we get to these, Q&A is next. So Mario's going to walk us through these as scaling tips. We're going to go semi-quickly here. And then I'm going to drop that StreamYard link below. So if you want to join us, get prepared now, right? I'm going to be dropping it here in a minute. So Mario, take her away, buddy.
Sounds good. So I try to keep these pretty broad. Feel free on to ask questions, and I'll get more detailed on some stuff that I'm seeing working. And it's working for us too. So scaling tip, have automated rules. Just a stop loss kind of rule, whether you're going to use a third party, something like Magic X, which I know you guys use internally, or, RevealBot. At a certain scale, it makes sense to get a third party to automate rules. But at the very least, you can set up something that, if this ad set has a cost per purchase over a certain amount, have Facebook pause it. Okay. Because when you're scaling, you're going to have a lot of campaigns, you're going to have a lot of ad sets. You might have a lot of different strategies that you're scaling simultaneously, which Kirsta talks about. He's using like 5 different strategies to scale at the same time, right? And each strategy is going to want different rules and different stop out points, or else you can, even though you're on a winner, it could be just a bad day in the auction for you in your niche. Maybe it's Black Friday and huge brands have put all this money into the system. And if your rules don't stop you out early enough in the day so that you make a small loss or a break even day out of that, then you can really burn some cash on a day like that. So also you can sleep at night. You can get away from the computer screen as you scale up to 10, 20, 30, 40 and above days. It's a lot of buttons to click, and you want to just go to lunch or something, and you just have that automated rule so you can do so, and then you can sleep better at night too, right?
It starts to feel like day trading a little bit.
Oh, for sure. That's how I approach it. I actually did that for a living for a little while.
So funny story, my wife's birthday is December 17th. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes that's the last day of shipping for ShineOn.
Okay.
And I remember one day I was scaling, and I think I did $70,000 or $80,000 in revenue on this particular day, but I spent like $25,000 or something. Yeah, and I remember I had plans to take my wife out for the evening, and I promised her I'd turn my phone off. And I just remember, like, I was spending used car money every hour, while we were out doing this thing. And I just remember how terrified I was. And if it wasn't for Facebook's automated rules, to kind of stay on top of it, I don't think I could have done it. Right. It was the one thing that kind of saved me during that whole thing. So yeah, I totally agree. They're super important. And part of it too,
if you're on a very profitable day, you might get greedy and let Facebook take back too much of your money. That's the other thing, right?
100%, man.
It's kind of like you lock in a certain amount of profit with a rule, and you can walk away. And then if the tide turns against you, as it often does when you're having a really good day, hits your stop points, money's taken off the table. Facebook can't change the dealer on you and give you bad traffic because you've taken your profits for the day.
Well, I was going to say, if nothing else, having automated rules, it forces you to build the system and the process. Mm-hmm. You need to do this successfully. Right. You know what I mean? You have to think through that stuff to build the rules. And that in and of itself is a valuable exercise. Sure. Anyway, go ahead, buddy.
Okay. So it's an uncomfortable situation when you're breaking through to new levels. Let's say you're used to doing, 300 to 500 a day. And, you're hitting this sort of glass ceiling with like $2,000 days. You've implemented some sort of scaling strategy that's more aggressive, and expect that the first 2-3 days are going to be rocky, right? You're getting to know the strategy. You're getting to optimize within your ad account. You're stress testing, your website and everything in your funnel. And, you might have a couple of days where you hit $2,000 for the first time, you lose a couple $100. Then, learn from that data and don't freak out. Right. And, day 3 might be your day where you really break off. Right. And it's okay to, every time you get to a new level, you get to $5,000 a day, to $10,000 a day, $20,000 a day. It's okay to just get aggressive, especially when you're playing with the house money because you've made some profits on the way up to those new points. It's okay to hit like a $30,000 day for the first time at like a small profit or a break even or something like that, and be like, all right, well, my system's not ready, or this niche and this product is not ready for $30,000 days, and then drop down to 12 or 15,000 days, and you'll have like an awesome ROAS right after that. Right, the momentum from that $30,000 day will also feed a lot of frequency to those same people within the audience. Okay. They also have your SMS sequences, your email follow-up sequences. So that break-even $30,000 day can really fuel some really nice high ROAS, like 10 or 15,000 days right after it. Right. And so for the whole 3-4 day or week period, even if you broke even on the first $30,000 day, you make a lot of money that week because of that momentum. Right. But don't feel like you have to keep staying at that $30,000 day the first time. Drop it down, make some money, and then take a swing at it again on a day where the tide's in your favor and you have more optimization. Right?
Dude, I totally agree with what you're saying. I learned this kind of without a coach, that scaling every day is not always the answer. Sometimes you got to lock in your return on your ad spend. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day, everyone's probably going to laugh at me, but I was scaling, and I wasn't turning anything off until it fell below my break even. Mm-hmm. And I just remember how 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night would roll around, and like at 3 or 4 p.m. in the same day, I would have a ton of profits. Sure. And then by 8, 9, 10 p.m., all those profits have basically washed out because I didn't lock the profits in as soon as the ROAS started to drop.
Sure.
Right? I didn't lock them in. I just let it keep running to break even before I turned it off. And I remember I was just throwing away money. I had this like light bulb moment. Hey, ROAS is actually greater than these like kind of unicorn numbers you want to take screenshots of. You know, lock in those profits. That's really what matters.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's see what else do I have here for some bullet points. Yeah, we talked about hitting the sky there. Okay, so if you adopt a day trading type mindset when you're scaling, whatever you're using to scale as a system, okay, maybe it's a CBO manual bidding with a bunch of different bid points, a bunch of different audiences. Maybe it's the shotgun strategy from Tim Bird. Whatever it is, if it's this strategy based on you have this huge potential spend, but you have a lot of rules in place where you're going to cut off different ad sets and different ads. You're going to scale other ones up. You might cut off whole strategies for the day, and you might have enough optimization maybe in a manual bid that your rule is that even though it has a bad morning, you let it spend through. It depends on the strategy you're using, right? But you need to realize there's like 3 main days that you're going to kind of go through, okay, with this day trading strategy. There's your sort of average day on a winner where, you know, you're pretty confident, like let's say you're hitting 10 or 15 grand days. You're confident that you do your strategy and things are going to go smooth. You're going to do a 1.8 or a 2.5 or something like that at your like sort of baseline number. And that's your sort of like decent day. And you keep banking a grand or 2 or 3 grand a day, and awesome. Make sure to take your profits and optimize some more so you can push it higher, push that ROAS higher, stay at the same ROAS and hit, 25 grand days, right? So that's sort of your like baseline day, right? So you want to make sure that those are always profitable for you, hitting your base hits, okay? Then there's your great days where you get at the computer in the morning and everything's looking good. Like you want to spend as much, you want to get super aggressive and just stack some cash and then not get greedy at the later hours of the day. Maybe like intraday raised budgets or something, and you have all this potential spend later in the ad account day, and Facebook might rapid spend and take back all your money, right? Don't let that happen, right? Just like take that money, get super aggressive while you have the time, and in your trends, if there's like a 9 o'clock spike you always see, get aggressive into that spike, and then if you see that midday stinks for you, but you have a great afternoon, get aggressive into that. Keep that, factor those sort of patterns in of when you're actually printing the money. And then let's say every day, for example, after 7 p.m., like you never make any money. Well, unless it's like just an absolute unicorn of an ad set that doesn't have a lot more potential spend, take your profits, and walk away, and bank those things. And then there's the third day, which I call like the dig out of the gutter day. And these are the days you get at the computer and nothing's going right. And you can either, just stop out and turn everything off and take not a full day's loss, or if there's some things in your system that allow the whatever percentage of strategies that are working for you that day or ad sets, 10 or 20% of them are still working even on a terrible day. If you allow them to sort of dig you out of the gutter, maybe you're a couple grand loss in the beginning of the day, you're like a grand loss in the middle of the day, by the night, you're just down a couple $100, great. Because on your winning days, you're making like 3-4 grand in profit. And now you've just dug yourself out of the gutter instead of pushing through on a terrible day and losing like the whole day's profit from the day before. These are the most important days. If you can keep if your losses small and your gains big, you will have a very long, lucrative career in media buying.
100%. It's the same for day trading. You can see
Right.
the principles come right across. Hey, before we get to the other 3 bullets here, if you guys want to join, right? Mario's kind of a coach in the e-commerce space. He's had tons of success, tons of successful students. He really knows what he's doing when it comes, well, really at every level of the business. I mean, he knows how to find your winners, fine-tune the winners. He knows how to scale them to big numbers. If you have any questions for Mario, right? Doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. It could be totally new. You could be trying to scale something right now. You could be scaling something right now. You could be just getting started and trying to, build the best foundation you can so that you can take advantage of Valentine's Day, perhaps. Wherever you are at in your journey, if you'd like to ask Mario a question or myself, you can join the stream and ask it. I'm dropping the link right now in the comments of the Facebook group. Here it comes. I just dropped the link. I'll drop it. I'll copy paste that a couple times here. Maybe.
Great.
Can I do that? Well, here it is right there. If you'd like to come on here and ask your questions, hit this link. It's going to bring you into StreamYard. It's a web-based kind of tool where you're going to have to give it access to your camera and your mic and things like that. Put in your name. Come join us. You're going to join kind of a lobby. You're not going to be on screen yet. You're going to be in a lobby, and I'm going to have to bring you on screen in order for you to ask your question. So if you'd like to join us, hit this link. You're going to be brought into the lobby. I'm going to let Mario kind of continue here through the rest of his scaling tips, but then we're going to start having folks join the panel to ask questions. And Matt,
no question is too basic. No question is too, well, maybe there's too advanced ones. Challenge me, please. Yeah. But no question is too basic. Like, don't be embarrassed about any question at all at any stage you're at.
Yeah, 100%. And Kirsta, Matt Ba, anybody else that's kind of watching this that's been on here before as an authority, if you'd like to join as well, feel free to hop on here and maybe we can get a little panel going just for fun.
Great.
So, all right, scaling tips, last 3 bullets. Let it rip.
Okay, so last of the 3, keep your winners big and your losers small. That's we talked about that, and that is really where the rubber hits the road. I mean, it can be frustrating to do like a big number day at break even, but that was a losing day, but you broke even, okay, and you have the momentum to make a lot more money the next day. Or the worst is when you have a great couple days and you're just getting hooked on that. I'm making $3,000 profit a day or whatever, right? Don't let your head get too big and pretend to see something the next day that's not really there, right? Like if your rules are firing off, if the framework of your scaling is telling you today's not the day, don't pretend to see something there, right? And I had this problem in my 20s when I was day trading. I made a ton of money doing something very boring. Not a ton of money, but at the time it was a ton of money. I made very good money doing something very boring. And then once I had, tripled my savings, I started to feel like I could trade anything at any point in the day, like an idiot. My head got too big, right? So, just really look at what's happening for what it is, right? And that comes with experience, but it doesn't have to be as hard of a journey for you as it was for me, right?
Yeah, it's just, humble yourself or the market will humble you.
Yes.
Like one way or another, you're going to learn the lesson.
Right.
So anyway.
Or maybe Shopify's down that day and you didn't even know about it, but your lack of performance, your conversion rate's like half of what it should be or something. Like something's broken. You don't know what it is yet, but don't push through it. Like let your stuff stop out that's not working and then troubleshoot. Or go to the beach and just tomorrow's another day, right?
100%.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. What else we got here? Okay. So a lot of times you think you have a winner, and this can be based on your data or just because you really love it and it's almost working and you're falling in love with it. Okay. If it's not scaling, it's not behaving like it should, and it's not getting through those barriers. Well, it's just not the right product at the right time to the right people. It's just not strong enough. But the concept of it might be close enough that if you test enough variants of it, you'll find a version that will get you there, right? Maybe you find a trending graphic structure that seems to be working really well this Q4. Maybe you find that your niche is responding to longer form copy than you have. So you have to frankenquote in, some other stuff. Whatever it is, maybe you're seeing that white backgrounds are working better in your niche or dark backgrounds. Maybe you're seeing that a certain font pairing or some bolding, whatever it is that you need to do to make that almost strong enough product strong, go for it. But at the same time, it's a balancing act because there might be some more like phase 1 testing you're doing that takes way less effort, and that's the one that cranks you through it. So again, it's more of you take a swing at something to scale. Hopefully it does scale. If it doesn't, one of the moves you have is to try to strengthen that product.
Totally, man.
And then we talked about this before. Always keep testing creatives, whether you're scaling or preparing to scale your winner. We saw it on for Father's Day when I was on here with with Tiffany, right? She made this phenomenal creative that took them from a couple grand a day break even to like 30 grand a day,
Yeah.
and profit margin, because she made this awesome creative. And that was, saved the day for Father's Day, and it was really impressive, right? So, and my first winner, and I may have talked on it here, was 2015, 2016. It's like a free plus shipping watch, and it was at a couple grand a day, making a couple $100. Some 16-year-old kid in like Germany tags me on Instagram with this beautiful picture of the watch. I throw that in all my marketing. I'm at 25 grand a day a couple days later at a huge ROAS, because that creative was just so strong. So always test creative.
Dude, a winning creative, it really can make a ton of difference. So, all right, let's summarize this very quickly. So use your automated rules, right? Lock in your profits and keep your losses as small as possible. And then, test your creatives after you find a winner. I mean, if I could summarize at least the highlights here, I think that's kind of what I heard. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, just and also a little bit of the pace when you're scaling for the first time. Know that like your first couple of days might be mediocre. You're just building up the momentum, and you're building up your own optimization, and you're looking for holes in your system. Like you're stress testing everything, because you're going for 2 grand a day or 10 grand a day for the first time. So like Facebook needs to build up the momentum. You need to optimize within your strategy, your website and your post-purchase upsell, literally the product page being a second loading too slow. Like all these things become obvious. Maybe you go into your SMS app and for some reason you didn't fill it out right. And so it's not shooting off, something that should be giving you 7% of your sales, which could be like your whole margin when you first scale until you get the momentum. So, the stress testing of your initial scaling, realizing that as you push to new points, don't get frustrated. Like if you have a couple mediocre days, scale it right back down and have a higher ROAS and then go for it again. Right.
Totally. So look, this was kind of a dense coffee with Michael. We really kind of got stuck into it, which was good. So, this may be one you guys got to go back and watch again. And all of that is completely fine. I mean, sometimes these are going to be easier. Sometimes they're going to bring you more advanced stuff. But that's what we're doing here. We're just trying to help everybody, take their game to the next level.